Welcome to The Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling one of those really big life decisions, something a lot of you have actually asked about. How do you sell your house without a realtor? We're going deep today using insights from a fantastic blog post. It's called Sell Your Home the Independent Way, How to Sell Your House Without a Realtor and Still Sleep at Night. It's written by Don and Susie Karstedt, who own Rethinking Real Estate up in Lake Tapps, Washington. And they frame it as a manual, which I like, for what's probably one of the most complex transactions you'll ever handle. So our mission here is to really unpack the actual steps and maybe some of the hard truths behind going the for sale by owner route, FSBO. We want to show you, based on what the Karstedts say, that while it's definitely possible, it's certainly not simple.
No, not simple at all. And, that big potential commission saving, that's obviously the huge appeal for FSBO. But Don and Susie are really clear this isn't something you just jump into lightly. It takes a ton of prep work, and you have to be really diligent, really active. But they also say, if you're up for that challenge, it can be incredibly rewarding, like really empowering.
Okay, so let's dig into it. The Karstedts lay out 8 key steps. And step 1, the absolute foundation, according to them, is getting the price right. Understanding the real market value of your home. They say this is exactly where many FSBO listings just go sideways.
Right, so you basically need to become like a mini expert on your local market. That means really researching recent comparable sales, the comps, right in your neighborhood. And not just looking at the price, but adjusting carefully for size, age, condition, the specific location, any special features. Plus, you need to get a feel for the market momentum. Is it going up? Is it flat? Or maybe even declining where you are. They even suggest maybe getting a professional appraisal just to make sure your pricing strategy is sound. Yeah, and what's really interesting here, maybe a bit counterintuitive, is their advice on how to price. They call starting too high the classic seller's trap. Thinking, I'll leave some room to negotiate. But their point is that almost always backfires. You get no interest, no showings. The listing just sits there and gets stale.
Yeah.
And then buyers and their agents start thinking, what's wrong with this place? Or this seller's totally unrealistic.
So the advice is really price it to sell right from the start. Don't price it to test the market.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Avoid looking desperate later. Okay, so you nailed the price. What's next? Step 2 is presentation. Getting your house truly ready to show to strangers. This is where buyers need to imagine their lives there. And the Karstedts are pretty direct about this. Buyers need to see the house, not you in the house. So their list of essential actions includes some things that might feel a bit weird. Like, first off, take down all the personal photos. Apparently people just naturally look at faces on walls instead of the actual house.
And then, of course, the big ones. Decluttering like crazy, cleaning everything and staging the home so it looks its absolute best. They even float the idea of hiring a staging consultant or maybe using those virtual staging tools you see online.
Right, and connecting that to the online world is key here. They say professional photography is absolutely non-negotiable. And think about it, right? So much of a buyer's initial impression, maybe even most of their decision, happens online before they ever visit those photos. They determine if you even make the shortlist for a showing. They also suggest other visuals, like walk-through video tours. Those are great for showing the flow and layout, and maybe even drone video if you've got a great lot or amazing views or something special about the exterior. It's all about that killer first impression online.
Totally. And it's not just the pictures, the words matter too. The Karstedts really emphasize writing compelling listing descriptions. And it's not just, pretty adjectives. It means using keywords that people actually search for on Google or Zillow. They even mention structuring it so AI search engines can pick up the key features easily. That's interesting. And you've got to highlight the good stuff, the valuable features. Main floor primary suite, vaulted ceilings, maybe new roof, or being near a popular park or school. Make it easy to find and easy to want. Okay, price is right, house looks amazing online and in person. Now, the Karstedts call this next part the make or break section for FSBO's effective marketing, getting the word out. And they start with something absolutely critical, the MLS, the multiple listing service. They flat out say skipping the MLS is a massive mistake. Just don't do it.
Yeah, massive. Because the MLS is what feeds almost everything else. It sends your listing data straight to Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, you name it. Plus, hundreds of local agent websites. And crucially, buyer's agents. That's where they look first. They live in the MLS. They're generally not scrolling Facebook Marketplace for their client's next home.
Right. So how does a FSBO seller even get on the MLS?
Well, that's the thing. You can. The Karstedts point out these flat fee listing services. They might cost, say, $200 to $500, somewhere in that range. And often, they'll bundle in things like standard contract forms, maybe even lockbox access. So you're basically paying a fee to get plugged into that essential system. So you kind of have to play within the existing real estate world, even if you're going solo.
Got it. So MLS is job one. What else is on their marketing checklist?
Well, the usual suspects. Share it everywhere on social media, local Facebook groups, maybe next door. Definitely hold open houses, arrange private showings. And here's a key tip they give. Don't hover over buyers. Let them breathe. Let them look around without feeling watched. Makes sense. Makes them uncomfortable otherwise.
Yeah. And then, print flyers, get a good yard sign, maybe even build a simple website just for the house. They suggest putting a QR code on the sign so people driving by can scan it and get details instantly.
Smart. And one more thing they really hammer home on marketing. Responsiveness. You have to reply to inquiries immediately, like right away. Buyers are looking at multiple places. If they message you about seeing your house and you take a day to get back, they've probably already scheduled 5 other showings. That delay could mean you lose a potential buyer before you even knew you had one. Speed is critical.
Okay, so you've marketed well, you're responding fast, and people are interested. Now things get a bit more serious. The Karstedts call this next stage the liability zone. We're talking legal disclosures and forms. So what does this actually involve? What do you have to disclose? Well, number one is the seller disclosure statement. You need to provide this, and it has to accurately list all known defects or past problems. No hiding stuff. And if your house was built before 1978, there are specific federal rules about disclosing potential lead-based paint hazards.
Right. And beyond those specific item disclosures, you have to be super careful about fair housing laws. Certain words you might use in your listing or even how you act during a showing could accidentally signal a preference or discrimination, and that can lead to serious trouble. And the Karstedts are really blunt here. You must use a legally sound purchase and sale agreement. You can't just scribble something on a napkin. And you need to understand the contingencies, those if-then clauses. Like the sale is contingent on the buyer getting their loan, or contingent on a satisfactory inspection, or maybe even them selling their current house first. They basically warn you, this is not the stage to wing it. Mistakes here can haunt you legally long after you've moved out.
Okay, definitely not winging the legal stuff. Got it. So let's say you navigate that and an offer comes in, exciting, but also complex. What do the Karstedts say you need to do when you actually get that offer? First thing they stress, ask for the buyer's mortgage pre-approval letter, not just pre-qualification. Pre-approval is much stronger.
Big difference.
Then, obviously, read the offer extremely carefully. What are the contingencies? Are they asking you to pay closing costs or give credits for repairs? And really check the timelines. Are they realistic? Can you meet the closing date they propose?
And then comes negotiation. The Karstedts acknowledge, look, the buyer probably has an agent, and that agent negotiates deals every single day. It's their job. So, as the FSBO seller, you need a plan. You need a clear, preferably written, counter-offer strategy before you respond. It's definitely a challenge, negotiating effectively when you don't have that daily practice. You need to know your absolute bottom line and your walkaway points up front.
Okay, negotiated the offer, everyone's agreed. But you're not done yet. Next up, the inspection and the appraisal. Prepare yourself, they say, because pretty much every buyer will get a professional home inspection. And the report, it's going to have a list of things, maybe dozens. Some will be tiny, like a loose doorknob. Others might sound alarming. The buyer will likely ask you to fix some things or maybe give them a credit, essentially reducing the price. You have to figure out what's reasonable.
Exactly. And after that hurdle comes the appraisal. This is ordered by the buyer's lender. The big risk here. If the appraised value comes in lower than the price you both agreed on. If that happens, the lender might not approve the loan for the full amount, and the whole deal could fall apart or require more negotiation. So these steps, inspection and appraisal, they really put your initial pricing and your objectivity to the test. The Karstedts' advice through all this: stay calm, be responsive. And this is crucial. Document everything you agree to in writing. Every repair, every credit, get it signed off. That paper trail is your protection.
Cannot emphasize that enough. Documentation. Okay, almost there. We're heading into the final stretch. Closing. But the Karstedts warn, here's where the details can truly make or break you. This is about working with the escrow and title companies. First step here is choosing a neutral third party, an escrow company or a title office. They hold the money, handle the paperwork, make sure everything is legit.
And here is probably one of the biggest takeaways for FSBO sellers from the Karstedts guide. You, the seller, must track every single deadline in the contract. When is the financing approval due? When does the inspection period end? When's the appraisal supposed to be done? Final walkthrough. Closing date. They make it crystal clear. Escrow's neutral. They facilitate, but they won't chase people down for you. They won't call you if the buyer misses their financing deadline. That's your job as the FSBO seller.
Wow. Okay, so you're basically the project manager for the whole closing process.
Pretty much. They give examples like you need to make sure the buyer actually deposits their earnest money on time, usually within a few days of the agreement.
Wow.
And if you agree to a price reduction or repair credit during those inspection negotiations, you have to tell escrow, provide the written proof. They won't just know. Oh, and a very modern warning. Always double-check wire instructions for sending or receiving funds. Scammers try to intercept closing funds with fake emails at the last minute. Be super careful.
Man, that's a lot of balls to keep in the air. Okay, one last point the car sets cover, and it's an interesting one. The reality is, even if you don't have an agent, most buyers will. So you'll likely be dealing with buyers' agents. What should you expect? Well, agents are probably going to call or message you, and they'll ask one main question. Will you pay my commission if I bring you a buyer? The car stats are clear. Legally, you are not obligated to pay their commission.
True. You're not obligated, but this is where it gets tactical. Refusing to pay a buyer's agent commission, typically around 2.5% to 3%, well, it can significantly shrink your pool of potential buyers. Why? Because many agents understandably might be less enthusiastic about showing their clients a property where they won't get paid for their work. They might steer them towards other listings first.
Okay, so even if the buyer finds the house on Zillow themselves?
Right. The agent still does a lot of work. Advising the buyer, writing the offer, managing contingencies, coordinating inspections, negotiating repairs, guiding them through the whole closing process. So Carsted's put out this warning. Ignoring agent inquiries about commission may cost you offers you never knew you missed. It really forces you to ask, what's the real cost here? Is saving that 3% worth potentially missing out on the perfect buyer who happens to be working with an agent? It's a calculated risk.
That is a really important calculation to make. So wrapping this all up, after going through Dawn and Susie Carsted's detailed manual, their big message seems to be, yes, selling your house yourself, FSBO, it's 100% doable, absolutely possible. But, and this is a huge but, it takes serious organization, constant diligence, and being willing to wear about a dozen hats, as they put it.
So many hats.
You're the market analyst, the copywriter, the photographer, the salesperson, the legal checker, the negotiator, the project manager. You're even the compliance officer and the customer service department all rolled into one.
It's basically taking on a complex, high-stakes, part-time, maybe even full-time job for a few months. But, as the Carsteds conclude, it's not impossible. And for some people, doing it successfully can be, like they said, the most satisfying, empowering thing you ever do. So this deep dive using their insights really shows that saving that commission with FSBO is possible, sure, but it comes with a trade-off. You're trading money for a massive investment of your own time, your focus, and just relentless follow-through. Which leads to the final thought for you, the listener. Are you truly ready and equipped to take on all those demanding roles? And thinking about that, what does the sheer level of personal responsibility required tell you about the real value, not just financial, but personal too, of selling your home the independent way?
Something to definitely consider. Thank you for joining us on the deep dive. We hope this look into the FSBO process, guided by the Carsteds experience, gives you some valuable perspective. Until next time, keep thinking, keep learning, and keep diving deep.